Hey, I'm stalking a ghost deer. I've been stalking it for 8 years, but I'm very stealthy, so it doesn't know I'm here. No, I'm not gonna stab the ghost deer. Did you think I was gonna stab the ghost deer? What are you, silly? You're a big old silly Billy. Let me tell you about that. But today we're gonna talk about some wolf facts, so prepare for that. Oh boy. Well, hello there. Are you ready to explore some stuff about wolves? I don't really know why. Oh, I got a mushroom. I don't really know why I decided to do this, but I just wanted to make a video where I talked about some interesting things about wolves. Because, I really like nature and those type of creatures. And these trees are really pretty as well, don't you think? Trees are neat. But we're going to go into here and we're going to check out some wolf stuff. Okie dokie. One of the interesting things about wolves and their dens is that sometimes wolves will start to dig a den, but there's going to be like for instance, they usually like to go to places like near meadows or like places where they can get like a little bit of elevation, and they might start to like dig under certain kinds of trees and stuff like that. But sometimes they'll stop because there'll be too much like roots and things like that in the way, so they'll stop digging there and they'll go elsewhere, and that's kind of neat. So sometimes you can see these like false starts and things like that. Like if you're looking around for them, you can actually tell if a wolf den is currently being used because one of the things that's interesting, and I was reading about this earlier, was that so wolves kind of like keep their den area clean, so they'll move like needles and like the like tree needles and other things like that. They'll move them away and they'll like kind of pack down the substrate around it. So if there's like a lot of debris at the entrance where there's just like a lot of like leaves and junk just like around the area, then they probably haven't been using it. And that's kind of interesting, I think. Holy fire. What did you find? Nothing. Interesting. Another thing that's kind of neat is that wolves are very social type animals. Ooh, look, roots. Wolves really like it. Like they like to live in like these little groups, right? And one of the things that's kind of funny is basically you can get two wolves and they'll like mate for life. I believe that's gray wolves. I don't know about Mexican wolves. I think it's Mexican red wolves. I'll have to look that up later. Here you can see they killed a guy. But it doesn't look like they ate him. He was probably just getting too close. Yeah, that keeps me... Okay. Doot, doot, doot. Here we can see an up-close picture of a wolf in a video game. That's pretty cool, right? Something that's kind of interesting is if you look at dogs versus wolves, you may notice that one of the differences between like domesticated dogs and wolves is that the eyes are a little bit larger and they kind of maintain like dogs will have like are like slightly more puppy like. Like this guy doesn't really look like a puppy. But if you ever look at a wolf puppy, you can very easily see that it's a puppy, right? Like it's like a little one. The thing that's interesting is if you really look at the wolf puppy and compare it to um like a puppy dog, like a regular dog, you'll see that there's actually more in common. But you can very easily kind of tell like the difference in the face of like a wolf versus the difference of like a dog. It's kind of neat. They also will disperse after like. Did you guys just like start a fire, or did you like come in here and wolves don't usually like fire like this. Wolves are known to like avoid humans, so they're not normally gonna like just like hang around in a place where like there's been a bunch of human activity. In fact, this is part of the reason why sometimes when people are doing things like tracking wolves and taking like pictures of wolves and doing like other nature type activities for like parks and things like that, they try to not like use the same path like to and from, and they try not to like create too much of a path because they don't want to like disturb the wolves and leave too many signs that humans were around, that kind of thing. That's kind of neat. you know so Also, most wolves have typically one litter of pups per year. They don't tend to have multiples. What you can see is like what looks like a pack of wolves is basically a group, like a mommy and a daddy wolf, and then like their pups. And then like after 2 or 3 years of like roaming around, the wolves will kind of migrate out and go do their own things, as in like the puppies will, because wolves reach sexual maturity between 2 and 3 years of age, and then that's when they kind of like go out and start doing their own thing. Wolves can overcrowd areas. There can be too many wolves, and they can like overhunt. But usually, they kind of tend to expand out. Now, something that's also very interesting is water. Okay, that's weird. My torch is underwater, but still on fire. Very cool. Magic torch. I'll take it. Wolves are also neat because they form a important part of the ecosystem. But before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit more about wolf babies. So, one of the things that I found kind of interesting is that wolf pups, for the first 8 weeks or so of their life, they will drink milk from their mom. Okay, that's understandable. Easy enough. But this next part made me think of baby birds, and that's kind of funny to me. But apparently sometimes what will happen is that mothers will regurgitate part of their hunts, and like babies will start eating like semi-solid foods in the form of regurgitated meals around 8 weeks of age. That's kind of weird, don't you think? How do you respond to this? A woo? Okay. That was their response. Kind of weird. Wolves also don't tend to live more than 5 years in the wild, which is kind of interesting. But they also learn pack behavior and etiquette, and in about 6 to 8 months, the pups begin to travel the pack and join in hunts. So for a long time, that's kind of a long time, like 6 to 8 months of just hanging around. I mean, humans have a very long time when they're like children and not really, running around being useful. But 6 to 8 months for a majestic beast like this to not really be useful to the pack is pretty interesting. And that shows that their little social boys and girls will help take care of the pups for a long time. That's kind of cool, I think. Rocks. Part of the reason wolves are important is because of critters like these. You see, these are small deer, but wolves help keep deer populations in check, because the problem is certain herbivore species can get like way overpopulated, and they can eat way more stuff than they need to. So you kind of need things like wolves to keep these populations in check so that they don't just, overbreed and then like make noises like that and then, eat everything. There's kind of like a nice little balance going on there. It's kind of neat. That's also why you shouldn't like hurt wolves if you see them out hunting or something like that. Like some people, will shoot at wolves and stuff like that because they're worried about their livestock and things like that. But that's also part of the whole thing about humans encroaching on wolf territory and all that lame-o stuffo. Wolves prey primarily on deer, elk, and moose, as well as, they'll like also like do opportunistic type feeding. So opportunistic feeders are basically just like, hey, something I wouldn't normally eat just happens to be, where I can get it, so I'm gonna eat it. And sometimes you'll have them eat like smaller things like rabbits or beavers or things like that. Domestic livestock as well. But you might be surprised that they also eat some dead animals and vegetation. Like sometimes you can see them like eating like grass or like I've seen stuff of them like eating like fruits and things like that. They also eat about 5 to 14 pounds of meat per day, or like per hunt. However, they can also go for quite a while between hunts, like 12 days or so, I think is like the max that's been recorded. I don't know if that's like the max, but like that's kind of an average, because it turns out that they're actually not super successful hunters. They're only successful at hunting like 3 to 14% of the time. It's kind of interesting. These wolves are kind of magic and like come out of the sky and stuff like that. That isn't normally how wolves are, though. Something else that's kind of interesting about wolves is that they're similar to dogs in the sense that you can kind of get a feel of how they're feeling based on their tail positions. You can't really tell with these wolves because they're video game wolves, so they don't have all the little intricacies and stuff like that. Thank you for trying anyway, Elden Ring. But you know that they will communicate their emotions like with like their tail position, or well, not necessarily intentionally, but they can, because like you can see the way they can look at each other's tails. Like for instance, like wolves expressing like threatening signs hold their tails high, and you know submissive wolves kind of lower themselves or tuck their tails between their legs. It's kind of neat. They also can read each other's facial expressions and things like that. And wolves also love to play. They love to run up to other wolves and go, play with me, God damn it. So that's pretty neat. Wolves are really cool little animals, and I don't know. I just kind of felt like sharing some of the stuff I was reading about recently. I'll share the articles in the Western Wildlife, and the other one was the Anatomy of a Wolf Den. I'll share those articles down below, so if you guys want to read some more and get some more information, you can. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like sharing some stuff about wolves. Wolves are neat. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Also, these are my wolf friends. Let us light the torch of wolf knowledge. Okay, the torch is lit. You can put your torches away now. Please stop starting fires! But yeah, have a great one. Bye.